I'm Steve Steger in for Kyle Clark. This is next. Imagine a job interview where you're grilled for 12 hours and then you're asked to come back for more the next day. That's what's happening right now in the Senate with Supreme Court nominee and Colorado resident Neil Gorsuch. Today, he surprised us by revealing he regrets putting his family through the nomination process. He also described a wide-ranging meeting with President Trump, including topics on abortion and how Colorado voted in November.
Was there any mention of Roe v. Wade?
There was, briefly.
And what did he say and what did you say?
Yeah. Senator, the president recounted to me, among other things, how the campaign went in Colorado. He knew I was from Colorado, and he was disappointed he had lost Colorado. And he said something like if he'd had a little more time, he thinks he might have won it. And then he said that one of the topics that came up during the course of the campaign was abortion, and that it was very divisive and split people evenly, he found. And then he moved on to other topics.
John Elway likes Neil Gorsuch. He said so in a letter to senators. He wrote it on letterhead with a big Broncos logo at the top. Now, the team insists that's not official Broncos letterhead. And we asked Brandon Ritterman to verify, did John Elway write an endorsement on official Broncos letterhead?
Yes, of course it's official Broncos letterhead. Frankly, we could make that call without digging any further. It's not just the Broncos logo on top. There's also the fact that John Elway signed it as Executive Vice President of Football Operations / General Manager, Denver Broncos Football Club. Or that it has the team address and his title over here. And we did dig further and found letterhead just like this from other team officials, all the way back when the stadium was called Invesco Field at Mile High. The real issue here is, why do the Broncos care that people think this came from the team? And that's because some fans of the Broncos aren't fans of President Trump or his pick for the Supreme Court. And on that score, the team says John Elway was not speaking for them. Quote, Elway's personal views, like any member of the organization, are 100% independent of the Denver Broncos. In no way were his personal thoughts meant to be interpreted as an official endorsement on behalf of the team. The Broncos say Elway used the logoed letterhead because he wanted the U.S. Senate to know it was really him, not to make an endorsement for the team. And even if the team had endorsed the judge, we found no way that would get them into any trouble beyond PR trouble. The NFL told me today it has no policy on teams making political endorsements. With Verify, I'm Brandon Ritterman.
I make a recommendation. This is where we point you towards something that isn't ours, but is worth your time, and you're going to need a lot of time. This is something you can nerd out over. It's Judge Gorsuch's questionnaire for his Senate hearing. It's a big old job application, basically, 68 pages long. It's actually really interesting to read through. The thing is so detailed, he had to list every conference, commencement speech, and other event he's attended since joining the Department of Justice. He had to have a detailed log of his life. Meanwhile, it's hard for some of us to remember what we even ate for breakfast this morning. There's a link to Gorsuch's document in the next section of 9news.com. Let's take a second to put something into perspective. This weekend's fire near Boulder burned about 74 acres and didn't do any damage to any structures. Yet it's made it easy for us to forget what happened to our east part of our state earlier this month. The fire in Phillips and Logan counties burned 30,000 acres, destroyed 4 homes and 15 outbuildings, and it had a huge impact on people's livelihoods. Just ask a rancher like Kyle McConnell.
90 seconds, that fire went across a half-mile circle in 90 seconds. We started with 10 head, and we had built it up through renting cows and buying cows and working very diligently and to build that herd. At the end of the day, we lost 185 head. And those are, really, in all honesty, those are kids' college funds. There's nothing more sickening than watching 185 head get stacked up on top of each other and burying them in a hole. Wasn't a single friend in that, though. That's all that matters. I think the effects of the fire are going to be realized for decades. when you have so many people rooting for you to rebuild, you know, or more than likely that's the direction we're going to go.
The cattle Kyle lost were worth about $340,000. Some of them were insured, some weren't. There is a fund where you can help those impacted by the fires on the Eastern Plains. We have the info on this story on the next Facebook page. It's a sign with a message from Smokey Bear at the U.S. Forest Service office in West Cliff, Colorado. The fire danger is high. So Colorado State Patrol wants you to remember not to toss your cigarette butts out the window. The fine for doing it is $1,000. That's a lot of money for something that is easily preventable. Be smart. Don't start a wildfire. And that sign got a lot of us thinking about our next question. Amy and many others have written us with something like this. Every day I see people flicking their cigarette butts out the window. Who do you contact when you see this happening? So we asked CSP, and they said, try to get the license plate. If you do, you can call star CSP. They'll put the license plate in a database. They may pull over that driver to ask them about it. If not, they'll keep a database of complaints and could potentially send a letter to that driver warning them if there are enough complaints. The ticket, by the way, again, is $1,000. Is the A-line working today? You know, the train to the plane sometimes is a pain. Sorta. There was some switch issue this morning at Denver Union Station. The A-line was running about 10 minutes behind schedule until 8:30, which makes sense because this afternoon we got a personalized A-line report from Robin Landis. Her husband Barry tweeted that video to us. So yes, the A-line was working by the afternoon. We want to see your A-line reports. Use the hashtag HeyNext or email them to us, next@9news.com. It's hard to walk far in Denver without running into a food truck. The whole idea of food on a truck mixed with food safety still gives some folks the heebie-jeebies. If you ask the owners of J Street Food Truck, all they have to do now is point to a little piece of paper in one of their windows. The paper is actually a certificate from the Denver Health Department claiming that the mobile eatery is a partner in food safety. It goes beyond just meeting the minimum requirements of a typical inspection. It's basically like getting an A+ rather than your average C. It's more work for the owner and the staff, but here's why they do it.
People know that they don't have anything to worry about. You know, I'm all here for the customers, and I want to put out the best food possible, and it starts from that.
Now, Jason's food truck is the first one to actually go through this newer process. The Partners in Food Safety program is relatively new. It's only been around since early last year, but already 25 food establishments have hopped on board, possibly making decisions of where to eat a little bit easier.
To me as a consumer, if I saw something like that, it would make me think that, hey, I'm probably getting some safe food that I eat here. And if I have to choose between one or another, I probably want to eat the food truck that I know that food is more likely to be safe.
And if you don't want to look all over the place for that little certificate in the window, you can always find a full list under the next section on 9news.com. The clouds are about to give us some relief. Becky will be along to tell us how much. The mission of the parents of an Aurora theater shooting victim is to stop notoriety for mass murderers. And they're asking it not only of journalists, but also law enforcement.
As a journalist, that scares the hell out of me.
And an unintentional Twitter caption contest gave us a laugh. Hopefully you'll chuckle too. Next. The most Colorado thing we saw today was a big old traffic jam, but not your typical one on I-25. Keith Klein recorded this video on his way to fish at 11 Mile Canyon Reservoir. That state park is about an hour west of Colorado Springs. We thought about using this as a caption contest. In fact, go ahead, send us some captions to hashtag HeyNext. Each of the donkeys seems to have a different thought about the car driving down the road. And that, my friends, is the most Colorado thing we saw today.
All right. It certainly was a beautiful afternoon across the state. Now we've got some showers in the area, and as we take a look here at the radar screen, you can see they're very light, very spotty. We're going to zoom into Fort Collins, where we've got some isolated showers moving through at the moment. Those showers will be pushing out within the next hour or so and are not expected to bring significant rain. We thought we'd see a chance for isolated storms, but most of those have been staying in southeast Wyoming. After we get past 8 o'clock tonight, showers will be done. Then we're on to our next system. Low pressure approaches from the southwest and pushes across Colorado Thursday night and into Friday. The result for us is a mixture of heavy rain and possibly some snow accumulation here across the Front Range. Until it gets here, we're back to mild and dry conditions tomorrow with a high of 75, 73 even Thursday when that system pushes in. Then Thursday night and into Friday, system moves across. We see highs in just the 40s Friday afternoon. Once that system comes on shore, Steve, we'll have a better idea on how much or if we see any snow here in Denver.
All right, thanks, Becky. The 9 News policy to limit the use and the names and faces of perpetrators of mass violence predates the Aurora Theater shooting. But the No Notoriety campaign started by a husband and wife who lost their son in that shooting has solidified how we attempt to limit the contagion effect of notoriety for mass killers. We return to Kyle's conversation with Tom and Karen Teves, whose son Alex died in Aurora. They're joined by New York Times reporter Jack Healy. The Teves not only want journalists to limit the notoriety given to mass killers, they want law enforcement to do the same.
You got a couple of choices, right? You can try to find some footage on Facebook, hold a gun. Or you know what? Go take a picture of him in the morgue. It's the same person. It's the same person. You're not changing the facts, but you're taking that call to action and showing that next person who wants to do it. Here's where you're going to end up. You ready for that? Because that's where you're going to end up. You're not going to end up like this powerful figure on the news. No, we're going to show you in the morgue. We're going to show you dead.
You speak, though, Tom, to the idea that journalists make choices. We make choices every day. We're guided by a code of ethics, but we make choices. And we have a general assumption that more information is better than less information, but it is not an absolute. Sure. Because Jack and I also make choices every single day to err on the side of minimizing harm while maximizing information.
Part of your code, right?
And that's where we get to the tough point, which is how do we minimize the harm while maximizing the information? And while my initial reaction the first time I heard about no notoriety was don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, it's normal. Don't feel bad.
You convinced me based on the idea that every day I make 100 other choices on how to maximize information and minimize harm, and why would I not consider this as an opportunity to maximize information while minimizing harm?
And it's a new way of thinking. I mean, I think there's a lot of journalists that don't even know about no notoriety or consider it. And that's why we talk about it as much as we can, to give them the option to say, wait, let me consider this. And I have a huge responsibility as a journalist to the people that I'm putting my information out to, and to take that seriously and realize that you can change people's lives in what goes down on that paper.
We've talked a lot about journalists. You're also asking something of law enforcement. And this is where I start to have real trouble with it. Maybe you can convince me here at the table. When I hear law enforcement in front of cameras on day one after an incident saying, I'm not going to use the name, I'm not going to say who the killer is, as a journalist, that scares the hell out of me, because that is the government telling the public, we're going to cut you off from this information.
What they say is, I, as an individual, a person who's dedicated my life to protecting the public, realize that if I make this thing into a bigger than life character, I will get somebody else, either in my community or the way the world's connected now, it might not be in their community, to possibly do this. I'm not going to keep you from the information, and if you want to be irresponsible, do a little homework, you can go into and get the records, but I'm not going to stand at a mic and use their name, because I know, as an expert in keeping the public safe, that this is going to cause harm to someone else, or at least possibly.
Let's play it out. What if he says, I'm not only going to not stand at the mic and say it, I'm going to make it hard for you to get the record, because I believe that if you have the name in the record, then that will have the same contagion effect?
I don't think he has the legal right to do that.
And
I don't think I've ever heard of somebody do that. So what he's saying.
Nor have
is,
I. I'm just saying if you play that out,
no,
okay.
Absolutely not.
Because you guys you're not talking about blackouts.
No, we're
not
talking about
censorship
responsibility. Yeah.
Or anything like
Yeah.
that. We're
No.
just saying don't make these people famous.
Jack Healy from the New York Times, Tom and Karen Teeves, thank you for coming up. It was great to see you guys again.
Thanks for having us.
And all three of you, welcome here anytime.
We posted Kyle's full 30-minute conversation with the Teeves family on the next YouTube page. This is a class project that screams Colorado, and it may give these students a jump start on their career. And my demographic is cats. His demographic, dogs. Well, don't worry, bud. Kyle's back tomorrow. Never Summer Industries of Denver has been building snowboards since 1983. Since then, they've provided a lot of riders a chance to leave their marks on the trail. Just recently, though, high schoolers in the Denver area have been able to leave their mark on the company. These students at Warren Tech in Lakewood are creating something real.
That actually applies to real life.
Something they believe in and are passionate about.
When everybody is given the same task, it's really cool to see what people do with that.
What they get out of this is that they're actually more motivated to work on this because it's for an actual client.
That's right, clients. These juniors and seniors are using their creative talents to produce designs for one of Colorado's oldest snowboard companies.
Oh man, it's just crazy to think that your art, just like a normal high school student, can actually get your designs on something as real as a snowboard and physical, and you can actually use it.
Well, I named it Kraken because it's a big cracked-in squid. It's attacking like a pirate ship.
Junior Mitchell Bowen spent 50 hours on his design. Even though he's a skier, he says he might learn how to snowboard just so he can ride his art.
If I was riding the board, you know, if someone looked at the design and they're like, oh, that's a cool Never Summer board, and be like, yeah, I designed it. So it's cool that we get to design for an actual company.
For the past 4 years, Never Summer Industries has teamed up with Warren Tech students for a snowboard design contest.
Yeah, they get really stoked.
It's not just a contest, it's part of the curriculum.
I'm hoping it helps to kind of push them to understand how the real world design kind of goes.
Close to 90 students are in the program, but only the top 10 designs are printed.
We don't give them any restrictions where it has to look like a Never Summer. So we really just kind of look for kids that, you know, spent a lot of time on it. It looks great. Looks like it could be sold.
Well, you won't see mass production of snowboards with these students' designs on them, but you will see kids stoked to go to school and learn something they love.
This is something I'll use in my career later in life, and it's just really fun to be able to come and learn that.
For Next, I'm Steve Steger. Hey, guess what? That's me. Tomorrow, the top 10 designers will receive something special from Never Summer at an awards luncheon on the Warren Tech campus. Rumor has it, might involve free snowboards and longboards, maybe to the winners. Who knows? All right, we just had to share this. Becca Dumichel tweeted this picture with a simple caption, #Boulder, high-rise handlebars, and a skull on the front of the bike. Daily Camera reporter Mitchell Byers had an even better caption, the Boulder version of a bike gang. By the way, if you're looking for a good follow on Twitter, Mitchell Byers is funny. We hope this made you laugh as much as it made us laugh. Well, I won't do the next dance again today. The producers have told me no. Instead, we'll introduce you to a viewer who sits very patiently during our show. Next. Fear not, dude. Kyle will be back on Next tomorrow. In this case, dude is the name of the dog watching Next. Kevin Miller sent us the photo. On closer inspection, we're not sure if dude is watching Kyle or if he is eyeing those dog treats that are sitting underneath the TV there. One quick piece of feedback on Twitter from Casual Hero. Hey, Next, Steve Steger, is the Kyle working today? No. #A-line. The answer is kind of sorta. The dude's been like tweeting all day. He never really takes a vacation. I've been told no dancing, so I guess I'll just have to see you next time.